Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Rachel. Let's begin our session for now. I'll ask you some questions about the first theme about the fast coaching insights as we just discussed. So let's talk about your journey and belief in coaching. So basic questions here to you. What is coaching?
I thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Jesse. And I like to think about coaching as like going to a physical trainer for your mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness. And I really very much view coaching as a partnership where the person I'm coaching is the subject matter expert on themselves. And my role is really to create a safe place for them to be able to reflect and to reconnect to who they are so that they can make conscious choices and thrive both personally and professionally.
That's so perfect. Thank you very much. May I ask about your journey into coaching? So, what really brought you into coaching? What is a turning point?
Yes. So I was sort of nature and nurture, right? There's always that combination. So I was naturally a diplomat in my family and the peacemaker in my family. I was also the friend that people would call in the middle of the night with their challenges. And my roots are in human resources and leadership development. And when I started my own business over 20 years ago, I was doing a lot of training and instructional design initially, and about 5 years in, I something was missing for me, and it was really that one-on-one component. And when I realized that, I came to learn about coaching, and then I realized that I've actually been coaching way before coaching was ever created, and that's really when I started my ICF certification process.
As I understand, you also have the a little bit offside is that you also the PCC, right? As I understand.
Yes,
So later
professional
on,
certified coach. Hmm?
to put you on the banner, I will stick the badge, as you saw it. I will ask for your like a portrait later to be on the banner. Thank you
No
so much.
problem.
Yeah. So the another classic question is that why do you believe people need coaching today?
Well, first of all, I think one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that it really brought mental health to front and center and made it more of an accessible topic. And so that's kind of opened the door a little bit more for coaching to be more accessible to folks. And I also believe that because we have constant change in our world, it's really been like change on steroids. This is an ideal time for people to really reconnect to who they are and what they can control when it comes to change, which is really themselves, their attitude, their thoughts, their behaviors, versus what often happens, especially in the beginning phases of change, where people fall prey to being in a victim mode. Oh, how could this
Mm.
happen? Why is this happening? So I think that is another really important need for coaching in our world today to empower people, once again, to make more of that conscious choice about how do I want to show up, even though it might not be the ideal conditions for me.
Yeah, I believe that is also the very great insights about the reason why people need like coaching today. Another perspective, yeah.
Thank you.
I want to also like ask you about like the coaching philosophy and impact. I have never asked any other coaches before, but what core beliefs guide your like coaching practice?
Um, Great question. And I am a recovering perfectionist. So, and I wrote a book about my journey and how perfectionism really stopped me from following my passion, which is around creative self-expression and primarily singing, and how I reconnected to that. So, some beliefs that I really have that tie to my personal journey is that I like to use an inside out approach. I think that we're way too influenced by external forces, how we're being viewed, how other people see us. And so, the more that we can connect to our values, our strengths, it really helps us then to, again, make that conscious choice and to know what is true north for us, our North Star for us. So the inside out approach, and tied to that, because I am a recovering perfectionist, it is very easy for me in my coaching to be very action oriented. But at the end of the day, we could check a million things off our list. And if we're miserable, then who really cares? So, a big part of my coaching is to get folks not only to look at what they're doing, but who are they being in that action? Who do they want to be? How do they want to show up so that they can really be intentional? And not just do the action and say it was successful, but if no one wants to talk to them again afterwards,
Not
that's
to be
probably not
robotic. Yes.
sustainable.
Okay. I understand. So, as a recovery perfectionist, that's the first time I heard of this. So, have you ever coached someone like whose story like changed you? Like, can you share like one piece of story with us?
Absolutely. And I've had many stories that have touched me and have changed me and transformed me. And I really believe, Jesse, that we tend to attract clients that are working on areas that we ourselves are working on. People are we're all mirrors for each other. So it's inevitable that if I'm working on something, lo and behold, that's gonna show up in my coaching. And I had a couple of situations that really sort of got to me recently. I have a very senior level leader that I'm working with in the entertainment arena. And I didn't know this, but towards the end of our coaching, our first round, he's renewed twice, but towards the first round, he shared with me that our work was so powerful, especially around the values and around starting to recognize his inner saboteurs, that he decided on his own to have a baby with a surrogate. And by the time we finished our first round of coaching, she was almost due.
Mm,
And that was just wow, that was mind-boggling to me. And the other thing, another example, I used to have a client at Facebook, and it was primarily leadership coaching. But in our very first session, she mentioned to me that she had always had a strong passion for cooking, and especially for pastries and desserts. And she never felt comfortable enough to pursue it, and I couldn't help it. So I really started delving into it with her. And by the end of our coaching, she had actually arranged with Facebook to take a break from Facebook. She was enrolled in a top-notch chef school,
mm-hmm,
and they guaranteed that they would take her back. And that
mm,
is inevitably what happened. She went through this program. She decided, you know what, I'm going to create my own side business with baking. And she went back to Facebook and they welcomed her with open arms. So those were two stories that top of mind that really touched me and it was affirming to let me know that I'm really supporting people to feel that empowerment to live their lives in a really meaningful and fulfilling way.
Wow, I mean, like that's very great because Facebook really humanizing in this such situation where like welcoming her back into open arms, like in Asia here when Tanya, our founder, like came back here. I just want to share that the working like condition here is not so like open arms like that. Even if you have a maternal leave, they if they heard that you're pregnant, you will get easily fired. That's not so
Wow.
humanized. So many of coaches here they face that problems when they're the clients got yeah such a problem. problem as well. So, I mean, in that case, when you're in the coaching industry, I believe that you also learn something from your client as well, right? Not just about like,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a transactional relationship, I guess.
Yes, no, there's always great learning from all people we interact with, especially though in coaching, because like I said, they are the subject matter experts on themselves. So my role is not about, I think I have their lives all figured out. That is certainly not the case. So staying open, staying curious, really creating space for them to reflect. And sort of my tagline, Jesse, is that I'm passionate about inspiring reflection and results. So many times in our day to day, we're running around trying to be in service to others and dealing with whatever crisis is going on. And that leads to us often disconnecting from foundational pieces of who we are, such as our values, our strengths, the work life balance or integration, and so I really enjoy creating that safe space for people to reconnect to all of who they are and to be a witness to that. It is really such a meaningful and powerful experience. And again, just so affirming for me to know that we all have that ability to really be that conscious, more conscious, and to make choices for ourselves that better align with who we are and so that we feel more integrity with ourselves.
Believe that's great as well. So, the other current situation right now that many like Generation Z, like me, professionals, want coaching, but like may not afford it. So how can they still get access to support in your opinion? Because right now in Coach on Tap, I saw that I acknowledge that like there are many coaches in there, but they often set their price into like 100 to 150 like dollars per hours. That a little bit excessive to Generation Z professionals who just start working like a couple years after the graduation.
Yes, and I appreciate that challenge. And again, thinking from the pandemic timeframe, I think even more and more coaching is becoming more scalable. And I know that one way I personally have been addressing that issue is I work with a framework called positive intelligence. And my colleague and I offer an 8-week group coaching program that's only for 4 people at a time. So it's a very deep dive. It's really learning how to get rid of our judge and our saboteurs, which is really like our 5-year-old version of ourself, so that we can access what's known as our inner sage, which is truly who we are at our core, which allows us to lead from a place of love versus fear. And we offer these group coaching programs so that it is more accessible and it is at a lower price point for folks. So group coaching is one way to address that challenge. Also, some organizations will bring me in for shorter engagements. So that's another way that I've worked more with perhaps individual contributors or people that are wanting to move more into a management role but are not there yet, is to offer a shorter time frame. So it's a smaller amount of sessions and they're still getting the value of the coaching. And one thing in coaching to keep in mind that the sessions themselves are valuable and often the great learning comes after the session. It's really about, okay, let me pay attention to what we just spoke about, or let me try out this new behavior or approach. And that's by doing, and that kinesthetic doing is where the learning comes in. So even though it might be a shorter amount of sessions, there's still plenty of opportunity for personal awareness and personal growth.
Personally, I also love the concept of group coaching. That's a great way of like interacting, but yeah, still affordability to all of the professionals who want to like experience coaching and better themselves, like elevate themselves like every day. So the final questions for this theme is that 2 points here. What is your like message as a coach to someone young who wants to become a coach and or is looking for one?
Ooh, okay. Well, if you're looking for a coach, I would say that it's chemistry is key. So to interview a few, one to three, more than one, two or three coaches, you don't want to overload yourself with too many choices, but to interview a couple of folks and also to define what success looks like for you. What is it that you're really wanting to get out of this experience? To define that ahead of time so that then when you speak to people, you can really be quite aware of whether or not they're going to be able to address the issues that you're wanting to work on. So that would be my words of wisdom for someone seeking coaching. For someone that's new to coaching or wanting to become a coach, I would say, first of all, experience coaching for yourself so that you really have an understanding of what it's about, because it's quite different than consulting or training or mentoring. The second point I would make is if you want to pursue this, to consider getting training that might lead to certification. I found it super helpful, especially as a newer coach, to have frameworks, to have different approaches that are really still foundational to my practice. So that it also helps build your confidence in building the muscle of coaching and what it's about. And then you're getting feedback from other folks and how you're doing. And then finally, I would say to get involved with other coaches and perhaps through a coaching association like the International Coaching Federation. I am a past president of the International Coaching Federation of Los Angeles. I served on their board for 7 years. And I also helped to lead a virtual community of practice for ICF Global. So this community is very important because being a coach can be isolating. So really to put yourself out there, to let other coaches see you, get to know you, and that also creates more opportunity to learn from others and perhaps might bring about opportunities for work as well. So those would be my three words of wisdom for someone that's considering coaching, becoming a coach.
That's very beautiful messages from you, Rachel. So
Thank you.
yes, the last one will be a little bit touch about like Coach on Tap. So you might not use it, but what was your first impression with Coach on Tap?
Yeah, so in full transparency, I'm very new to Coach on Tap. And I just recently became a coach with Coach on Tap. So really my first exposure was through the marketing and messaging that I got to potentially become a coach with you guys. And that process was relatively easy. The challenge for any platform oftentimes is with the calendar. So I'm still,
That's true.
yeah, that's always a hard thing, syncing the multiple calendars. But it's coming along. So far so good, and I'm really excited to continue learning more about Coach on Tap and to really to be able to serve your clients.
Thank you very much. So, what's the one thing you are mostly looking forward to, from Coach on Tap in the future?
Yes. As I just mentioned, number one would be to support your community and to really be able to provide valuable coaching to those folks. And then also, hopefully, to be part of the Coach on Tap community and to get to know other coaches, to get to better learn your approach and philosophy so that I can best represent you in my coaching. So those are the two things I'm initially excited about.